Be careful.
He's and Scott Higgins, both of them coked up out of their minds.
Listen to you. He's down in the basement.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I think we should call this the Acement.
The Acement, yes.
Yeah, what do you think there, huh?
I like that. The Acement Studios.
Excuse me, I'm drinking beer. Hold on a second.
We usually drink bourbon on our end.
Yeah,
when we
right.
do the podcast, so
That's all right.
feel free to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You shoot an 8-ball if you want. We don't care. As long as it's good stories.
Welcome to the Acement, everybody.
I'm back to giggling. It's been a shit show tonight.
Oh,
Hey, welcome to
Behind the Funny.
Behind the Funny.
This is Scott Higgins.
And I'm Ace Aceto, and hopefully
And we're off and running.
Oh,
and,
we got a couple of issues tonight. So
Yeah.
it's been a few weeks since we've been on live, right? Because we recorded one last week, right? I don't remember.
I am losing
Folks,
track. We've
I
had so many
apologize.
of these lately.
I apologize, folks. I have been camping in the woods with my son at a Boy Scout camp all week. I got here. I took a shower so that I don't smell for my co-host. And I sent our guest a confirmation email a couple of days ago. Didn't hear back, but wasn't too concerned. And then just sent another reminder message on Facebook Messenger, and has not been read yet. And then I started the entrance video
before we were live.
Forgot to go live.
Before
We're
we were
having
live.
trouble on our Twitch channel. For
The
some
Twitch
reason.
channel's up and running.
Oh, the Twitch is running.
Twitch is running. I don't know if the Facebook one is.
Facebook, it's on the Behind the Funny page, not our. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, we're on the Behind the Funny page. So yeah, sorry if you're watching this shit show, as we call it. This could possibly be Sans guest part due, as Scott likes to call it, because our guest has not shown up in the green room yet. But hey, regardless, we still like to talk about comedy, and we'll just talk about comedy.
Absolutely.
We can talk about some of the people that I've been reaching out to that we're hoping to get on the podcast later on this year, or later on in the season. Let's see. Please, if you are watching this, please throw in some comments either on the Facebook page. We hopefully can see comments, or no.
I have no idea.
We're not sure. We're having some technical
But if you're
issues.
watching
Yeah.
on Facebook, a great way to interact with the show is go to twitch.tv/drinks, jokes, letter N storytelling. If you go to twitch.tv in the search, just type in drinks, jokes, and it'll come up.
Yes.
You can watch our show live there, and you can easily chat with us. And it's a great way to watch the show live and interact with us.
Yeah.
One of the things we want to do, as we always do when we get started, is to thank our official beverage of the Behind the Funny podcast, Jefferson's.
Yes.
Tonight we're drinking their small batch, which is our everyday go-to,
And
one of our favorites.
Scott is actually drinking it because I have to get back to Boy Scout camp tonight, and it's not good to go back onto the reservation when
And
you
be like, hey, what are
half
you guys
cocked.
doing?
Yeah, hey, let's go swimming.
Shh. You wake up the other troops.
Yeah.
Quiet.
So yes, we asked for comments, and our friend Robin said, "Here is a comment." So thank you, Robin. We
Love having
really
you.
appreciate it. And Steven Stein,
Steve Stein,
said,
my good buddy Steve Stein. Love you,
said,
Steve.
Scotty. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for listening. We can't thank you enough. Honestly, last month, I think you said it on last week's show, but the month of July was our largest download month ever since going on the air with the
Yes.
podcast. Fantastic. We hope that you're enjoying the shows. We hope that you guys are continue to tune in. I am, despite tonight, I am working on some amazing guests, and this is nothing, I'm not shitting on our current guest. This could have been just miscommunication. So if he doesn't come on tonight, he will be back.
Yeah, we'll definitely have him back. We had scheduled Jack Lynch for tonight, and maybe wires got crossed, but I was able to work with him recently. Our friend Jim McHugh, who we had a couple years ago on, the founder of the Boston Comedy Festival. Jim opened up a club in Portsmouth, New Hampshire at the Traffic Circle. Want to give him a plug. McHugh's Comedy Club. Great little room in a place called the Roundabout Diner. Just fabulous.
Yeah.
Like that good old comfort food, home cooked food type of place. They treated the comics great. We had an awesome time. Jack Lynch was on the show that night. Joey Carroll, who's been on our show. Jim McHugh did a spot. I met this new kid who was in the Boston Comedy Festival last year, Andy Liu, who is very, very funny.
Oh, really?
We'll definitely have him on in the future because he's been doing comedy 3 years, but he's come in the top 3 in 3 different festivals already.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's a really talented young man. And then the show was closed out by our very good friend, Carolyn Plummer, who announced that night that she was picked by Dennis Leary to be on Comics Come Home this year.
Yeah, that's
and
listen,
TD North Garden there.
Just so you know, the Comics Come Home has been going on for over 20 years. It was started by Dennis Leary not long after. I don't know how many people remember the Worcester fire. It was a warehouse fire. It was started by accident by some folks who were homeless. Unfortunately, 7 firefighters lost their lives in that fire. And one of them was Dennis Leary's cousin, and so Dennis started this Firefighters Foundation, and that's when he started Comics Come Home to raise money for the firefighters' families, and it's been going on now. And for any comic in and around the Boston area, that is an absolute honor to be asked to be on that. So that's fantastic that Carolyn has been asked to be on. I know our good friend Kelly McFarland has been on before, obviously Jim McHugh. There's just a whole slew of Boston area comics that have been on. So that's awesome. And I'm looking forward to getting to McHugh's myself because I know
room.
That used to be a different room. It used to be run by a different comic years ago. And I remember the crowds up there being fantastic. And hey, listen, folks, as things are opening back up, it's great to be able to have new venues opening up as well. So definitely, if you're in the southern New Hampshire, northern Rhode Island, northern Massachusetts, southern Maine area, definitely have to check out McHugh's Comedy Club at the Roundabout Circle. It is on a roundabout, so it's very easy to find.
Oh yeah, definitely easy to find. Food's great. A lot of fun at the shows, and I thank Jim again for having me on the show that night. It was a lot of fun. I was a little nervous because we had such a talented lineup that night. Yeah, and he asked me to host
the show.
So and I hadn't hosted a show like that in a long time, where you go on and off all night long and everything. But it ended up being just so much fun. So but and of course we want to thank you guys, everyone that is watching, everyone that listens when you download the show, for the reviews. We had a lot of fun with the contest that ended last month, with giving away a hoodie. So we appreciate everyone that did reviews. We got a new one this week. That was really one of the nicest ones we got.
Yeah, and it was from Canada, eh?
From Canada. That's right. I loved that.
Yeah, we didn't even pay this person to write this shit.
No, not at all. They said, love the dynamic between Scott and Ace. If you need a mood booster, then go ahead and binge a few episodes.
That was awesome. Yeah.
From Canada.
And that's as simple. So when you hear us ask for a 5-star written review, that's all we're asking for. Something simple. Even if it just says, hey, love these guys, or hey, podcast is great, very funny, love learning about people, whatever it is, it just really helps with the algorithms. And what algorithms, if for those that don't understand, is literally if someone goes and looks for a comedy podcast, these 5-star reviews help a podcast like us float closer to the top, so that it might get suggested to new people. And that's really what we're looking to do. We're really trying to bring the show to new people.
And of course, you really want to help us out, mention us to a friend.
Yeah.
If you have a friend that enjoys comedy podcasts that might like to learn about comedians, mention us to them. That's how we learn about a lot of our favorite podcasts. That's how you probably learned about most of yours. So if you can spread the word, that's a big help as well. So thank you very, very much. You guys have been awesome. We say that all the time, but we honestly, we're overwhelmed. I know. When I see downloads growing and I see the nice reviews come and everything, it's like, it's nice to know that when you put something like this out there, there are people that enjoy it. And we thank you. We can't do this without you guys. So we really, really appreciate it. With that in mind, I mentioned to Ace yesterday, there is a comedian that needs some help. If you're a comedy fan, then you know the name Bob Nelson.
Yeah.
Bob Nelson got really famous when he did one of Rodney Dangerfield's specials.
It was one of the first young comedian specials.
Yes.
And for those that may not know the name Bob Nelson, you definitely know his bit. His bit of the football all-star college football team where he puts balloons in his shirt and he does impressions of all these different college football players. And the last one is Jiffy Jeff, and he's
when he was the boxer,
the boxer,
Jiffy Jeff's Jim,
Jeff, the boxer. It was hilarious. Bob is one of the nicest guys. I know he actually opened up a theater. Maybe it might be 8 or 10 years ago now, right? Yeah. I believe it's in upstate New York or Long Island.
Long Island.
Opened up a theater and was doing doing a ton of shows and booking shows and
a lot for kids too at these shows.
And that's the thing.
Because he's friends with circus clowns. He's friends with magicians. So he would put together these shows, not just comedy shows for adults. Yeah. He wanted to entertain kids as well. And, he always worked very clean. So he was, a wide range of audience and everything. He would appeal to, I remember when I worked with him, he had brought an opening act, but they wanted someone to host. Mm-hmm. His opening act was a circus clown that didn't speak English.
Oh, really?
He was from the Russian circus.
Really?
Yes. And the crowd loved him because he did all this stuff, Comedy Connection in Providence, and this guy's doing flips and juggling
like
stuff and everything. Really? And it was fun and everything, but they needed someone that could do the introductions and do a little time up front and in between and everything. And he was so gracious and so nice, and had me go get my wife after the show so he could say hello to her, and just one of those guys. He had a special on HBO called Nelson Schmelson.
Yep.
And he gave me a copy of it that night that he signed. I still have it at home. In this special, he had it looked like the back of an apartment building, and he would pop in and out of the different windows, doors,
as different characters,
and Bulkhead as different characters.
I think I remember that.
Yeah. And he used a lot of the characters that he created on stage.
Yeah.
Because he had Epi Epperman from Cleveland was the host of the show. I'm Epi Epperman from Cleveland. I could be anywhere, but I like Cleveland. And it was just
Robin.
He's a Long Island staple.
He's a Long Island staple.
Absolutely. He came up through there. He stayed there. Everybody knows him. Well, Bob's sick.
Yeah. You just sent me the thing. I hadn't even heard it.
They're trying to help him with medical expenses. Last year, obviously, comedians didn't have a way to make an income. So he's been kind of out, but he was diagnosed with a large cancerous tumor embedded in his colon, and it has gone into his lymph nodes. He's going to have a port placed in his chest for chemotherapy over the next week, and there will be 6 months of treatments every 2 weeks, then radiation, then an operation. He found out his insurance will only cover half the cost of any and all treatments, and he has an $8,000 deductible on that half. Mm-hmm. So needless to say, he needs some help. So I'm going to put a couple of links in the chat. Did you get a chance to load them?
I didn't, no.
That's okay. I'm going to put them in the chat for everybody that's out there. I'm also going to put them up on our Facebook. There's a GoFundMe to help Bob out, but there's also, if you're in the Long Island area, Governors is going to have a show
in Levittown. Governors in Levittown, which is a famous comedy club.
Tomorrow night, 7:00, To Bob with Love, starring Jackie the Joke Man Martling, Joey Cola, Richie Minervini, Rob Bartlett.
That's an amazing lineup, folks.
These are all national headliners
Exactly.
on one show coming together to help out Bob Nelson. So that show to benefit him is tomorrow night. And
tomorrow night, meaning Thursday, July 22nd.
Thursday, July 22nd.
Obviously, if you are listening to this just on like Apple Podcasts or the audio version, it'll be, you know, a week ahead or 2 weeks ahead. So
right,
you'll have missed that, but we will put the GoFundMe information in the information.
So if you love comedy, if you've seen Bob and you like what he does and you have a moment and you can help out, please go to the GoFundMe link and help Bob out.
Yeah.
That would be great. Ace and I both were lucky enough to work with him, meet him. He's genuinely one of the nicest people. We've said that about a lot of comedians.
No, he is.
And Bob is definitely right up there when it comes to one of the nicest people to work with.
He was one of those headliners that, you know, again, in the early 90s or late 90s, early 2000s, he was one of those guys where if he liked you and you had an opportunity, you know, Dana had me open for him once. He requested me to open for him every time.
Yep.
And for, you know, for a local comic, that means a lot, you know, when a national headliner likes you enough. You know, I think we've talked about The Amazing Jonathan was another guy that was like that. Bobby Slayton, you know, was another guy like that. Dave Coulier. Those were the guys, like national headliners, that would say, hey, next time I'm in Providence, I want that guy Ace, or, you know, I want that guy Scott to open for me. It means a lot to us.
I remember the first time that happened to me when I got a phone call.
Yep.
That said, hey, you know, I think the first one ever was actually Bobby Collins.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, Bobby's coming back into town for 2 shows on a Friday night. He mentioned that he wanted the guy that opened up for him last time.
Yep. Are you
know,
available?
Open up for him again. Are you available? And I'm like, I didn't even look at my calendar. I went, yes.
Yeah, right.
And then I looked at my calendar and went, oh, thank God I'm open
my
that
kid's
night.
baptism.
All right. They won't know I'm there anyway, but
speaking of your kids, hold on. Grace says hi. Hi, Dad from the West Coast.
Yeah, she's in California on vacation.
Nice.
Hey, Grace.
No, thanks for watching, Grace. and Robin says Nelson Schmelson, great play on words. I like the guy already. This is our Nightbot saying, hey, hit the follow button if you're liking the show. Robin says, yeah, that sucks. I know all those names don't live there anymore, unfortunately. Yeah. You know, again, anyone who's listening, if you can, when you see the show notes, if you will put the GoFundMe information in there, if you can, you know, even if it's a little bit, every little bit is going to help. We've talked before about how, you know, we're lucky enough that we actually have day jobs with health insurance, and most comics don't have that afforded to them. The fact that Bob actually has health insurance, you know, is great. But most times comics can't afford like the top of the line concierge health insurance. So that hence the, you know, the high deductibles and things like that. So any way that you can help out our friend Bob Nelson would be fantastic.
Yeah, and I'll put the links up in a couple seconds because I forgot my password.
He's looking up his password as we speak. Yeah.
So I will put the links up in the chat on Twitch, and I will also share it on Facebook as well. And, you know, feel good about yourself, people.
Yeah.
Feel good about yourself helping out a great guy.
Exactly. So, yeah. So, I mean, you know, I don't know. What have you been doing this week?
This week has been, you know, kind of crazy because fall, I don't know about you, fall comedy seems to be blowing up, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
It has gone crazy.
I just got booked,
which is awesome.
I just got booked for a show. Our friend Dana from the Rhode Island Comedy Hall of Fame, formerly from the booker at the Comedy Connection. She's been on the show before. Just booked me for a Rhode Island Comedy Hall of Fame show, and I'm going to get to work with our good friend Brad Mastrangelo and possibly Linda Belt, who both have been on the show before.
Yes,
that is going to be a killer show.
Wow.
The three of us is going to be so much fun.
That's
so looking forward.
That's
to
like
it.
a murderer's row of comedians right there.
It's going to be fun.
I just had Brad at the Bradley. I've had Linda there before, and I just booked Linda for something this fall. Linda Belt is another amazing comedian, and then you on top of that. That's just like,
that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And then Tom Stewart just booked me for a show
it's just
in August.
Shows are popping up like crazy. A fundraiser that I had to cancel last year. I was on the phone with her standing in your driveway when I first got here.
Oh, yeah.
Nailing down the final details for that, in October. But September is crazy. October is crazy. November is filling up. It's great. It's great. I can't wait to see people's smiling faces again. And I really got that itch. It's funny. I'll be honest with you folks. I mean, I remember 6 months ago, I said to Ace, I don't know if I have the drive anymore to
do comedy.
Want to go out there and
I think I just want to book,
drive all over the place and get up on stage and do this type of stuff anymore. All that time off, I don't know. It made me feel differently. And then I went and did this one funny little fundraiser show in someone's yard. It was literally in someone's yard, and for 35 people, and they were so fun. And I remember talking to Ace like the next day, like, I'm back in. Yeah, I'm all in.
It's almost like you're a brand new comic again. You were like, I need that drug again. You got a little taste of it.
I had forgotten that feeling.
You went to rehab during pandemic.
I was back on the wagon. Someone gave me a taste.
Gave you a taste
of the sticky icky.
Just a little bit, Scotty. Come on. Try a little bit.
And I jumped right off that wagon again. But
that's the way it happens.
That's why I went up and did McHugh's show. I did these other shows. I'm like, this is just much fun.
I should probably say, because I know I've got a date coming up. I'm going to be at Headliners. Our friend Rob Steen, who I'm still working on trying to get on this friggin' podcast. I actually
booked Rob Steen for my next Bradley show in September. Listen to this lineup for the Bradley in September.
All right.
I have Andrew Kennedy, who was on not too long ago on the show.
Last month.
Shay Spillane, who we've had a couple months ago. Steve Scarfo, who we had on last year. And Rob Steen.
Wow, that's an awesome
That's going to be a fun show.
Yeah, Steen has me. I'm going to be at Headliners Comedy Club, Chunky Cinema in Manchester, New Hampshire on August 7th. And then I am going to be, might as well do some plugs, right? Since we've got time. I am going to be at, it's an August date.
Are these on your website?
Not yet.
Mine aren't either.
I literally just got them. I don't even know how to put shit on my website anymore. That's the problem. I haven't had to put a show on the website. It's so friggin' long. I forgot how. I got to go back and ask my web designer how the hell to do it. I'm going to be at a show for Tom Stewart on August 26th, Thursday, August 26th in, where is it? New Bedford? You've done it. It's that.
Is it New Bedford that
it's either Fall River or New Bedford. I don't know. They're both the same.
I think it's New Bedford. Yeah. And it's Pub 6, the letter T5, 65.
That's right. Pub 65.
That was a blast.
Yeah,
show.
You were on it. Derek Fonseca's been on it. Mike Murray's been on it.
Yeah,
everyone that's been on it says it's a really, really fun show.
The night I was on, Derek was on with me. Tom hosted.
That's right. Derek, and then the owner asked to come back.
Did you guys eat? And we're like, yeah, we ate. And he goes, you gotta come back and eat. You gotta come back and eat. And Derek and I wanted to get together and work on some material because I mean that night we went. There were still mask mandates.
Right.
So we had to wear a mask to walk up to the place. We walked on stage, take the mask off. So masks were still a thing. And we wanted to get together to work on some material. So we said, let's go up to the place.
Yeah.
We got there. The owner saw us. Oh my God. He calls a bartender over. He goes, take care of these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, they love comedy there.
I love places like that. There's not enough of them.
Yeah, it was so much fun. But let me ask you this: you guys that are watching, that you've chatted a little bit so far, do you have any comedy questions you would want to ask us?
Yeah.
Is there something that you want to know? You've been watching the show enough,
or
listening enough. Is there a comedy question that maybe we haven't asked that you would want to know, or something we've asked the guests that you want to ask us? That we can answer for you guys right now,
or that you'd like to know from a future guest.
Yeah, because we could ask.
I am working on. We've got a few people booked right now for future shows, but I think I may have mentioned. So I'm trying to fill up August, September, and October right now.
Right, so
that's my goal.
So far, we have Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock. I think Jay Leno.
Yeah,
And-
those are all people I'd love to have on
and
the
Jimmy
show.
Fallon, all
But-
on our wish list.
Yeah, on our wish
And
list.
None of them are booked.
None of them are booked. However, if any of them happen to be watching this little shit channel on Twitch TV or on Facebook,
Or if
Live,
any of their relatives are watching the show.
yes, or who knows? Jay's in Newport. Maybe he's watching. You never know.
Have you seen his house in
Probably
Newport?
not. Yes, I've seen pictures of it. I haven't been close
Yeah.
enough to, I tried getting close, but the restraining order kept me away from him.
The snipers in the towers keep
I was like,
everybody
yeah,
away.
maybe it's not a good idea to drive up the
Keep
driveway again.
everybody away.
So I am working on some people. I have gotten some maybes and some, my goal, I really want to make October special. We always make October special our spooktacular.
That's the month I can't be here.
Yeah, too bad. Yeah. Oh, and we got this. Oh, let's tell the audience. A couple of weeks ago, we get this text from Tom Stewart. Hey, are you guys around? And it was for this Saturday, actually.
Or Friday, was it? Well, it was
Friday
this
or
weekend.
Saturday. It was this coming weekend. So it was either the 23rd or 24th of July. He goes, hey, you guys available? And
wait. Time out. Are you guys around? Everything like that?
Yeah.
I thought he was asking me about a show.
Of course you did.
Because he said, are you
Listen.
available on July
23rd?
23rd?
So, of course, I know exactly what he was doing because he knows you're a big pussy when it comes to anything paranormal.
Yeah,
so he did
whatever.
the smart thing and he said, are you around or are you available July 23rd? I got back. I said, no, I'm not. My goddaughter is getting married and that's the night of the rehearsal dinner. And I'm actually officiating the ceremony. They're reaffirming their vows. They got married during COVID and now they're having the bigger celebration. So they're just, renewing their vows and reaffirming.
Are you going to do impressions?
Yeah, whatever they want. Whatever they want.
Do it as Gilbert.
Yeah.
Do you take this bride?
Are you sure you want to do this again? No. So Tom sends the message
amazing.
and I said, no, unfortunately, I can't. What do you got? He goes, oh, I was thinking me, you, Scott, and Billy Simus could go in and do a paranormal investigation in the Payne House. Now, for the folks that have watched the show and listened, the Payne House is right down the street from me. It's a mile down the road. Very, very active paranormal place. And
awesome.
when
It's awesome.
Tom Stewart came in and played the EVPs and some of the evidence from there, Scott broke. That's when I wish we were doing the podcast on video, because if you could see Scott just get quiet for once and break out in a sweat all over his head.
The very first time we did a podcast with paranormal stories. And we did it because our buddy Tom Stewart, who's a comedian, also did paranormal stuff.
Right.
And he came on and told some of his real stories. I just remember I'm sitting there, and for me, it was like literally watching a horrific train wreck in slow motion. I'm just staring.
For me, it was,
and all of a sudden, Ace goes, "This is the quietest I've ever seen you." Because I'm sitting there with my mouth agape slightly, just like.
It was so funny.
And it was just so uncomfortable for me.
So unfortunately we couldn't do it tomorrow night or this week.
And I was free this week.
However, Tom then says, all right, well, let me see if we can get a date that works for all four of us. And I'll go back to the folks at the paranormal group and see if we can have, instead of joining someone else's investigation, we can have our own investigation.
Because why would we want other living beings in the house?
No, just the four of us. How awesome would that be?
Fucking
Folks,
great.
Let me ask you, fucking great.
Fucking great.
How awesome would it be to have a Behind the Funny podcast where you heard us sit down and replay the EVPs and the evidence that we capture and possibly hear Scott shitting his pants or screaming like a little girl? That would be an awesome October thing. So I'm trying to get Tom to see if there's a way that we could do it either later in August or September, so that we have all of the evidence, we can go through it, and we have all of that ready to go by October, because that would be an amazing episode.
Yes, it would. Yes,
All right.
it would.
So hold on.
Well, yeah, Louis
more.
C.K. would be an
Louis C.K. would be a
get.
get. Yep. And then Jen, our friend Jen, spooktacular. Can't wait to see Scott scared so bad he's shaking in his boots.
Yeah, Jen. Thanks. Thought you had my
He's
back.
already shaking in his boots. Just at the fact that I brought this up, because I think he thinks I forgot about scheduling this the other night.
I know you too well. There's no way
In fact, you're reminding me. Why don't you talk to the audience for a second and let me text Scott.
How rude. You don't turn your back on our audience.
I'm not turning my back on him. I'm looking, but I'm going to text Tom Stewart while we're on live to see if he can set up another date.
Let's put it this way, folks. When they told me the story about the Payne house, now the direct route to my house from Ace's house,
he goes right by it,
is about 25 minutes is my drive. Because I have to go by the Payne house, if I go the direct route, I now go the long route. It added 15 minutes to my drive, so I don't have to go by the Payne house. Because automatically when I drove by it that first time after the stories, I was looking in the windows of the place, and I think I told Ace this.
Yeah.
I swore one of the curtains started to move, and I ran a red light.
You ran through the red light?
I just turned right and kept going. It's no turn on red. There's a sign there, but I didn't give a shit. It was 10:30 at night, and I went right on red and just kept going.
That's awesome.
I'm like, I'm not staying.
Oh, hold on. Our friend Robin said, "Did you see Anthony Perkins' mother?" Yeah, there's an old lady and an old skeleton in the window in a rocking chair. That would be hilarious.
Anthony Perkins' mother. They have the voice of a little girl, an EVP of a little girl,
a couple
captured from the actual Payne house. They have several recordings of her communicating with them. So don't give me any shit about Anthony Perkins' mother when his granddaughter's running through the house.
Hold on. Jen goes, oh, hold on. Oh, their comments are coming in faster than I can hit them. Jen goes, Scott, how about a preview of you screaming like a little girl, LOL?
You might not hear a scream.
Some ha-has, some yikes, and more ha-has.
You might not hear a screaming of a little girl, but you'll hear the splintering of wood as I burst through the door.
Yeah, it'll be like on the cartoons with the outline of Scott running through the door.
It'll be like Derrick Henry from the Tennessee Titans busting through the line from the 3-yard line as I go through that door.
I like the cartoon thing better.
Yeah, your cartoon reference was much better.
Yeah, yeah, Roger Rabbit right through the door. The outline of Scott.
The sad part is Ace is probably working on a ghost voice just to fuck with me because he's so good with voices.
Maybe that would be fun. Get out.
You didn't think of that on your own?
Get out.
Too bad we can't stay, baby.
Oh, all right. I just texted. Hey, any chance on that Payne house investigation happening for you, me, Scott, and Billy?
I just texted him and says if it goes through,
Ace.
I'm canceling him on any gig I have him booked on.
That's all right. We'll take care.
No, I promised our guests when we recorded that episode that if we ever had the opportunity to do the investigation, I would definitely do it.
Yeah.
So,
which is why I'm setting it up, because you're just hoping that we drop the ball and don't actually set it up.
No, I know you bastards will.
Of course we will. Absolutely.
And I know you bastards will, and you got to face your fear.
Yeah. So that's what's been going on. We're getting booked. I had a couple of fundraisers, past clients for fundraisers that I've been reaching out to, and they're like, "Oh my God, I was just thinking of calling you. We don't have a date in mind, but we're definitely going to move forward, and we're going to get a date." And so I think people are ready. People are ready to get back out there. I think this is the summer for bands, because people have been itching to go out and see live bands outside in venues, and I think bands will still do great throughout the rest of the year, but I think comedy, it's really going to come back in the fall.
Because my sister has a small place. They fit like 70 to 75 people inside, and they have some outdoors seating, but Fridays and Saturdays they do some live music, but it's usually a 2-person Like a guitar player and singer, or guitar player and simple percussion type of thing, and they pack the place on live music nights. Pack the place.
Right.
So
that's awesome.
I agree with you. I think music is definitely running wild this summer, but this summer hasn't been great for a lot of outdoor activities because it's either been
rain,
humid, hot beyond belief, or pouring rain. Not just rain. Pouring rain.
Fucking rain.
Thank you, Andrew.
That was our friend Andrew Kennedy who gave us that one.
Fucking rain.
The Christopher Walken. Well, listen, I've been at camp all week, and today was the first day where we got a little bit of rain that came through Connecticut and then just went around us, luckily.
Right.
But for the most part, it's been shitty all week, and our week has been better than the previous couple of weeks. So, it's been a rough summer. Luckily, a lot of the bands get to play under tents and on stages that are covered stages too.
Right. But you want the fans to be able to enjoy themselves too.
It depends on where you are.
True. Now, let me ask you this, Ace. Let's, we like to talk about behind the funny. In the time off, and you and I have had some of these conversations, but how much new material do you think or ideas for new material have you come up with, and have you had a chance to try any of it? Much yet?
You know what? I have kind of been focusing on some other things that I've wanted to work on, and I think we talked right before the show. So, you know how you called me a procrastinator about three episodes ago? 4 episodes ago,
and you just proved my point because you're just bringing it up now 3 episodes later.
I finally did it. So I've been talking about this children's book idea for a long time. It's been about 6 years. It was inspired by my daughter Maddie losing a tooth when she was probably 7 or 8, and she is now 13 and no longer believes in the tooth fairy, but I had this idea. And so this week, while I was off on vacation, I came back into town and I met with a local author. This is the third local author that I've met with, just to learn about how to, the pros and cons of self-publishing versus getting a book agent and submitting and trying to get published through, a publisher. And she inspired me so much that yesterday I finished the book. I finished it. I had about 5 or 6 people read it. I then went through and did some research on like word count for that age group, like what's an appropriate word count for a picture book. Right. And I edited it down, and I think I've got a decent product for a true editor to look at. But I think I'm ready to literally start doing a mock-up and reaching out to the illustrator that I've been that I've been thinking about working with, which I met him a long time ago.
Right.
This guy, Jeff Hopkins, who was a comic way back when. He moved, but he was also an artist. He's the guy. Remember I told you when John Perrotta would send out those flyers with the laughing people on it?
Yes.
He's the guy that came up with the laughing people.
Is he really?
He's an actual artist. But the last time I saw him.
You're not going to have Charlie Hall do?
No, I could have Charlie do it too.
Charlie's a very good artist.
Absolutely. But Jeff, I saw at our friend Brian Mulhern's roast, because Jeff is friends with Brian and Kevin Mulhern. And so I talked to him about this children's book idea then, because he was the illustrator for Kevin's book, Cody the Cloud. I don't know. Did we talk about Cody the Cloud?
I don't remember us bringing that up when Kevin was on.
Kevin Mulhern wrote a book as well called Cody the Cloud, and it's a children's book. So long story short, over the past like 24, 48 hours, I just snapped into this like real productive mode and finished the book, and now have a bunch of information on how to get published. And I'm going to start working on a mock-up and, illustrations and stuff like that. And I'm really excited about it, because the other thing is, if I can get published for that and start working with a publisher or a self-publisher, you guys know we've talked about it
several times.
And when we came to start doing the podcast live and audio, video as well as audio, we kind of took a back seat, but we're going to start working in the fall again on the idea for the book that we had. So you guys know we we ask our guests every week about a funny bad gig story, and we've compiled so many really hilarious funny bad gig stories that we're like, we need to write a book about this. We need to pull these stories together and publish a book.
It's amazing too. We've talked about it that we're in our 5th year. We started our 5th year doing this. That not only does everybody have their funny bad gig story, it's amazing how everybody we still get surprised with, like, we're sitting there and like, oh well, we've heard of the sports bar ones, we've heard of this, right. But then someone will tell us one like, holy shit, I didn't see that coming, or my God, I've never heard of that one before. I was talking to a guest we're going to have in a couple of weeks. Paul Bond is his name. Very funny comedian from New York. Jim, he was a guitar player with Jim Brewer on tour. Great guy. And I'm explaining the show to him, and I tell him about the funny bad gig story and what it is. And he goes, oh, I got 2 already. And I went, yeah. Don't tell me though. I want to hear him fresh when we have you on the show, the show and everything. And Paul's been doing it for 30 years. Right. So I'm like, yeah, Paul, if you've been doing this 6 months, he goes, if you've been doing it 6 months, you already have at least 2. He goes, exactly. I got at least 2 decades worth that I could fill. So exactly. I can't wait to hear Paul's.
Well, and it's funny because we've gotten so many of these that we forgot some of them. Like I was re-listening to Brian Kiley's a couple of weeks ago, and he started telling the story, the Mike Moto story, about the suicide behind the stage behind him. And I had forgotten that Mike McDonald had told us that a few years ago. So it's hilarious. And those are the kind of stories we'd love to compile into a book and be able to have other people read these hilarious stories,
Right. And if you go back, I don't know if it's still available because unfortunately old ones time out, but maybe because we talk about it so much, it may be time for a re-release of the It's a Bad Gig When.
Maybe we should,
we might have to re-release that one. Back in our I think that was our 2nd season. We did an episode, and we've mentioned it on here before, with John Parada and Mike McCarthy, where we wanted to come up with a list of things that comedians know when they walk in a room. If they see any of these or experience any of these, they just know that this gig is not going to go well, that it's just going to be not fun. It's going to be work. It's going to be whatever you want to call it. And we said, we're going to come up with the top 10. Well, we ended up with the top 12.
We couldn't narrow it down.
We didn't want to chop 2 off because they were just as good as the rest. And basically what we're going to do is those are the 12 chapters of the book. And then we're going to go through the stories we've compiled over the last 4+ years and fit the stories into that format.
Then we'll have a lucky 13th chapter or the epilogue, and that'll be these are just crazy gigs that don't fit into any category.
We might have to go to 14 where we have one that are ones that don't fit anywhere, and then ones that fit into so many categories. They needed a category all by themselves.
Yeah, this hit on 5 categories.
This fits in chapters 1 through 5.
Right. That'll be a good idea.
Do the multiple.
So chapters. that's it. That's what some of the stuff that we've been thinking about doing, and I think the children's book has been this idea for about 6 years. And so I figured
I'm glad you finally did it. I'm glad you finally did it because you've brought it up. You've mentioned it when we've had writers on the show, because we've had amazing writers on this show. And every time we have a writer on afterwards, you're like, I got to get in that children's book again. And you keep talking about the children's author you want to talk to get some advice from and everything. And I'm like, you got to just go for it. You got to go for it. And you finally did. And I'm glad you did, because you've had a great idea. You just needed to do it.
And even like the hook, like I have a feeling I could potentially be just as hated as the person who wrote the Elf on the Shelf book because of what the topic is and because of the way the hook to sell the book like that. And I don't want to give it away on here.
No.
But there will be a little like added benefit beyond just a picture book. And I think that added benefit is something that kids are going to love. And parents may fucking hate me for it. And I love
but you know what? That'll sell a shit ton of books.
Then. Exactly. And that's what it is. That's what I want to do. So if I could get established as an author, then I would love to then piggyback on that. Like, okay, this worked. all right, let's do our book.
Yeah.
In the same fashion. So I'm really excited.
The reason I asked you about the material is
Yeah.
because, last year when I did the at the Bradley Playhouse, we did a virtual variety show every Friday night.
Yep.
We did it because we needed donations to keep the theater going.
Yeah.
And two, we wanted to keep the theater in people's minds when we couldn't have live shows there. And people that had performed at the theater would submit videos of mostly songs that they did either show. And we came up with themes. One week we did, classic rock, and another week we did country, and another week we did jazz. And so they would submit based on that theme, and then I would intro the songs. And basically I'd go to the theater on Friday Night Live. There was a 3-person production crew, myself, and that's it in the theater, and then we'd play the videos. And I would try to do an opening monologue. I approached it like the Tonight
Show, yeah,
or something like that, where I did an opening monologue and then introduced all of the different things. And so I would write stuff every week for that. Yeah. Well, I went back, and of course, like every comedian does, you save your notes. And I went through and I was like, all right, yeah, that's shit. That wasn't a bad idea. I probably could make something out of that. Mm-hmm. And I pulled all the ones that I thought would, because some of it was more topical that you're not going to keep doing, and some of it was stuff that fits in with the act that I do.
Yeah.
And I've had 3 new jokes that I've done the last 3 shows that I did.
Yep.
I did them at the Bradley, and then I did them at McHugh's. And at the Bradley, they didn't go well because I hadn't done them before, and the timing and everything like that. And then, but at McHugh's, they actually went well. And that was part of the whole get me reinvigorated again, because not only was the live audience and they're laughing and you're having fun, but also you're doing new material and they're liking it and they're getting back in. And I did crowd work that night, which I hadn't done in a while.
Well, and that's the thing too. You did it in 2 different venues, and we know there are some jokes that no matter how good the joke is, it may not work in a theater environment, but it would work in an intimate club environment. Right.
Yep. So, I've had fun doing that again. Coming up with some new material, because I'm hoping to, down the road, once we get back to regular every weekend working again, take a lot of the stuff I had been doing for a while and some kind of recording and then build a new 45 minute set.
I have a ton of ideas and voice memos and notes and stuff like that for ideas.
Yeah.
I just haven't tried it because I've had these other things that I've wanted to do.
Right.
Like this book has been 6 years in the making.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I got very excited when you came to me last year and said, we should write a book. We should write a book of the funny bad gigs. So now I've kind of gone off in that direction, and I still love my act. Like we talked about it with Brian Kiley. My act is not, it's timeless. No, it's not topical. So I'm trying to bring people back to their childhood. And I still have, every once in a while, I'll listen to something like an old recording and I'll go, oh, wow, I haven't done that joke in 10 years. And I don't know why. I think I just cut it for time.
I love the way Brian Kiley put it. It still means something to you.
Right. Which means I put a lot into it every time I perform it.
You're not mailing it in.
No.
And we've seen comedians that have done the exact same act from beginning to end for years and years and years, and they get to a point where they're literally just reciting their act.
Right.
And
they're not emphasizing it. They're not in the moment anymore. I'm still acting it out. I'm still in the moment.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because it still means something to you.
Yeah.
And you don't follow a script. While you do have, jokes
Chunks.
that are staples that you're known for. I've seen you on different nights, and it's not the same from beginning to end, because you'll kind of go where the crowd takes you.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And
that's just me getting sidetracked a lot.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Because some nights the crowd is very rowdy, and you gotta go with that. And some nights the crowd is dead.
Yeah.
And you got to work that differently.
Right.
So you're going to either do your material differently or do different material. And that's one of the things, for comedians anyway, for, again, to go behind the funny.
Yeah.
I found over the years that when I watch comedians and I watch comedy, I don't always watch it to be entertained and laugh.
Yeah.
If Eddie Murphy comes out with a new comedy special on Netflix, like they've been talking for the last couple of years, I will watch that as a fan, laugh my ass off, and enjoy every second of it. But when I'm watching certain guys perform, I'm watching more the technique. I'm watching how they perform and how they work the room and how they deal with things and trying to pick up stuff from that. And that's how I learn and how I apply different things. Because for when you first start, you are just reciting. You're trying to remember your material and you're just reciting, and eventually you learn how to relax a little bit and maybe talk to the crowd a little bit more.
Right.
And for years I tried everything I could not to do crowd work.
Right.
Even if somebody heckled, I would I try to do the ignore and keep plowing through type of thing.
Right.
And then eventually I just embraced it.
Yeah.
And said, I'm going to go with it. And if it doesn't go well, it doesn't go well. If it goes well, great.
Right.
And once and I think it was Derek Furtado when he was on, when he goes, when I realized that, what the hell? What's going to happen if I don't do well? Nothing.
Right, exactly.
It's okay.
It's not the end of the world.
It's okay.
One audience that saw me and didn't enjoy it.
I'm not going to die.
How many thousands of audiences or hundreds of audiences have seen me and really enjoyed it?
Right.
Yeah.
So just go for it.
I mean, obviously, you don't want to mail it in. You don't want to.
I'm not talking mail it in, but
you don't want to suck. No one wants to suck.
You got to be okay with going out on the ledge and
having it not work.
Not knowing what's going to happen.
Right.
Once in a while.
Yeah.
You got to be okay with standing on that ledge and letting things happen.
Yep.
And sometimes the funniest, greatest moments can come out of that.
Right.
And sometimes, you fall off that ledge.
Right.
But that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And the great part about those awesome moments when you're on the ledge is sometimes you can get new material out of it that can become part of your act, but sometimes you just can't recreate that moment.
Right.
It was just a great moment.
Well, you've brought it up a couple of times at that show that we did where that lady was yelling stuff
and
out.
You went behind the curtain.
And I went behind the curtain, and that worked that night.
You can't recreate that.
I mean, if that happened again where someone was heckling and everyone was like, it's one thing if they're heckling and yelling and being belligerent, but this lady was just like, it was almost like she was just that crazy lady on the street that had no idea there was a show going on. You know what I mean? I would try it again, but I would never want to force it.
No, because when you force it, it's not going to be as funny.
It's not organic.
It's not going to work as well.
And it's not going to feel organic.
Because I think back, I had a night, City Steam in Hartford, literally the first time they had me headline.
Yep.
Now, the first time you headline in a club is nerve-wracking because I had featured there, and featuring there is 25 minutes. Awesome spot to be if you're a comedian, folks.
Right.
That middle spot, 25 minutes is awesome.
You can go in and just kill and get off stage and get home early. And
you can kick ass for 25 minutes.
If they paid features what they pay headliners,
I would do it all the time.
All day long.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. They finally bumped me up to headline, which was a huge goal, and I was so excited. So I'm doing my first weekend there of headlining. Friday night show. The feature comes off the stage. I'm getting ready. I'm in my spot, ready to walk on stage. The host is up there doing a few minutes before he brings me up. And the feature goes, there's a woman in the front that won't shut up. And I'm like, I didn't hear anything. He goes, no, she's not heckling. She's like talking to herself.
Right. Yeah. She's just disrupting the show.
But you can hear it.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, shit. So I get on stage and I'm starting in with the act. And she literally is now the tables at this place are these long tables.
Right.
They have like 10 people at each table, 5 on each side.
Yep.
And she's on the first seat right there at the stage.
Right at the stage.
And you would do a joke and she'd be like, well, that's not funny. Well, why would you say that to that person? Oh, who would even think like that?
Meanwhile, truly, you can hear her. I guarantee the people
at her
the back
own
of the
table
room,
couldn't hear her.
Right, exactly. And it's fucking your head up, right?
So I'm like, how do I deal with this? Because when someone yells something out stupid, great. Love it. I can
You
now
can play off it because the audience
right.
heard it.
Everyone heard it.
Right.
You can jump right in. You can do whatever you want. I that doesn't make me nervous. Doesn't bother me.
No one else can
That's
hear
great.
her.
No one can hear her.
So now if you go after her, you just look like some asshole who's
Right.
attacking an audience member. Right.
Even if I try to repeat
I
it, no
love
one
it.
knows for sure if she actually said it.
Exactly.
I still look like the dickhead picking on this poor
I
woman
love
that's sitting up front.
That's hilarious.
I literally said,
You don't know
I
what to
just
do.
I just gotta plow through
Yeah.
because there's nothing I
Because
could
the
do
rest
at
of
that
the
point.
audience will enjoy it. Fuck her. Don't even
I
worry about her.
moved more towards the right side of the stage,
played to
away
them?
from her,
Yeah.
and I still played the whole crowd, but I tried to move far
Yep.
enough away that I couldn't hear her. But I honestly don't know how the set went
Right.
because all I could hear was her.
She was
the
like-
whole
She was
show.
like Jim Gaffigan's inner voice
Yes.
in your head, though.
Yes.
A
the
real
whole
one.
show.
Why is he saying that?
It was brutal.
I love
It was absolute, and that was the first show of the weekend of my first headlining weekend at City's Theme. And
Gotta love
I
it.
I wouldn't say that I wouldn't put that as a bad gig story because it was awesome that I got to do that for that
Right.
first time. And again, people left and they're like, "Great show, thanks." So,
right.
but I couldn't tell you
In
if I
your
honestly had
head,
a good show or
yeah.
not because all I heard was her comments the
You were too
whole
busy in your head.
time.
And I wonder if that's how Jim Gaffigan came up with that whole idea. Is he had someone like that in the audience who just questioned everything he did, and so he
Oh,
figured,
my God.
well, I'll beat her to it. That's genius, right? That's
It
awesome.
is. It's great because there was another time I was there and there was a guy towards the back of the room and he yelled something out to the feature. He didn't like the feature, so he
Yep.
was yelling stuff at him. And even his own friends at his table were trying to shush him and everything.
Yeah.
So when I got on stage, it was easy to go after him,
Right.
Because everyone
he
in
was
the
already
room,
disrupting everyone.
everyone in the room didn't like him,
Right.
so that was easy. I was prepared for that. But this woman, I mean, even to this day, if I had to deal with that, I probably would. I would definitely say something to her now. I would repeat what she said to the crowd.
Yeah, right.
You know, that trick type
Yeah.
of thing. But it's still, you're risking it because no one heard her say it.
I would be like, how many people like Jim Gaffigan? Jim Gaffigan's inner voice is
Yes.
sitting at table one.
And
And
it's
then
funny that you say that
fucking say
now
it,
because
you know?
that's exactly what it was. She
Right.
when I
Why
when I
does
went
he like Hot Pockets?
when I went in the green room, I said it was like having the devil sitting on my shoulder,
Yeah, right.
talking into each ear the whole
fucking
time,
with you the whole
just
time.
messing with me the whole set.
That's
it was
awesome.
brutal.
I'm because believe it or not, we just talked for an hour.
Did we really?
Yeah, we're already at an hour. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's good to just have one of these shows where we're just kind of updating the audience on what's going on.
It's funny. A lot of you guys, when we get done the shows, we're hanging out, we're talking while we're closing everything down here in the basement, and then we go upstairs in Ace's house, and a lot of times it's an hour after the show before we're actually, hey, see you next week,
Yeah,
and
right.
everything like that.
It's midnight by the
we're
time Scott's
bullsh-
getting home.
we're bullshitting and everything like that. But
Yep.
it's
Because
a lot
we
of fun.
really do enjoy each other, Scott.
we do.
Yeah, we
We
do.
We
We're
have
friends.
we have a lot of fun talking to each other. So
But I wanted to put up a couple of the comments that came in so that because it's going to be about stuff that we were talking about like 15 minutes ago. But we were talking about me doing
Your book.
the book. And so Robin, Robin said, Mazel Tov. I always wanted to do a kid's book, so you're way ahead of me. And then Scott said, go for it.
you got to.
And then our friend Jen said, Ace, I love the update on children's book. That's something I would like to do and have revisited since that podcast. Good luck with it. Keep inspiring people. Thank you. I have to thank Kerry Newman, who's the local author, and Corianne Abreu, who are the two local authors who I've spoken to so far, who have inspired me. So a huge
That's
thank
awesome.
you to them. And then Robin said, as a girl, I was a huge fan of the late, great Beverly Cleary. And then she said, I wouldn't have the nerve. This is when we started talking about getting up on stage. I would never have the nerve to ever get up on stage and try to be funny. I give you guys a lot of credit.
Honestly, Robin, you when you first start doing it, yes.
Yeah.
It's literally that dream of going to school in your underwear when you were a kid.
Yeah.
But after a while, you learn that, the people in the audience, they're really on your side, most of them.
Yeah.
They truly are. And if it's something, all I'm going to say is to everybody that's watching or listening, if you ever wanted to write a children's book, a couple of you mentioned that. If you ever wanted to go star in a play in your community theater, if you ever wanted to try stand up, if you ever want, just go do it.
Yeah.
Life is too short to say, I wish I would have. I didn't start actual stand-up comedy until I was in my early 30s.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do it. So I tried it twice when I was in college. And then I was like, oh, well, no, you got to get the real job. You really can't do this. And I regret waiting until my early 30s to really get into it and give it a true try.
Right.
And it's not, I don't regret any of it because I've had a blast for the last almost 20 years of doing it. I've met a lot of great people, made a lot of great friends, obviously. But you got to just do it.
I know it sounds,
just do it.
It sounds cliche to say life is short, but you know, we've known so many people, and everyone knows people that just go way too soon.
Yes.
And so, yes, do I love my day job? I do enjoy my day job. That's what provides for my family. But there are other things that I've wanted to do, like the children's book, like the voiceover work, like the cruise ship comedy, you know, and I look at it as, you know, who's to say you have to do one thing?
You don't.
You know?
You don't.
You don't. I mean, people at camp, a couple of the guys that are the other adult leaders at camp have literally said, like, dude, you've done a million different things. I'm like, yeah, I want to get as much out of life as I can.
Enjoy
Why
yourself.
shouldn't I?
Enjoy yourself. I mean, I you know, we did a tribute show to him. I look at our friend Jay Sute. Jay was an amazing guy. He
hilarious comic, amazing guy, pediatrician,
voted one of Connecticut's top docs. Did comedy when he was in college while he was spinning pizzas to put himself through college to become a pediatrician, but never lost his love for comedy and wanted to do it. And it was meeting Max Docelli, who we had on the show.
That's right. Who was one of his kid.
Yeah. Max's son was one of Jay's patients.
Right.
And Max helped him start again. And Jay just went for it and got to, you know, perform in Vegas and all over the country and did a ton of shows. And you know what? Jay's life was cut way too short, way too short.
But he tried to live it to the fullest.
But he fit a ton in the time he was here.
That's how I want to be.
And that, and you know what? You know, watching him and seeing that, I want to do the same thing.
So it's funny because Robin just said, I've done a few things like that, played guitar in front of people. For example, I believe it was Eleanor Roosevelt who said, every day do one thing that you're afraid to do.
Yes.
And you know what? And that's the thing. You know, so maybe we could call this episode, Robin. Maybe we can call this episode Positive Thoughts from Behind the Funny or something like that. But Wendy, hold on, wait a minute. Wendy says, hi, Scott. Wendy Winslow.
Oh, it's my cousin.
Oh,
hey,
right.
Wendy.
Hey, Wendy.
Thanks for
watching.
tuning in, Wendy.
I don't know what this was about with One Would Hope, but listen, I had fun tonight. You know, and we will get our guest on. Obviously, it was just a miscommunication or cross lines. Why he wasn't here, but this was good because you know, we were able to kind of update people on what we're working on, what's going on as far as, hey, comedy's coming back, go see a live show.
Awesome.
We're getting booked around New England. We've got shows coming up, we've had shows coming up. I'm working on the children's book. We're going to work on our book.
Yes.
And you know, and
anybody that's watching and or listening once again, that's anywhere in this country, if you have a local comedy scene with some local comedians that you want us to talk to, please email us and give us their names. We'll reach out to them on social media and say, hey, we'd love to have you come on Behind the Funny. We love getting to know new comedians and getting their names out there and getting to know these guys. I know, Robin, you're in Colorado. There must be some great comedians out there. Shoot us some names. We'd love to get some of these new people on there. You know, obviously we have a certain reverence for the Boston comedy scene because we've been part of it, and it's an amazing scene with some legendary people, but there's great comedy across this country.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we want to talk to a bunch of different people.
If there's a local person, if you're listening elsewhere in the country outside of the Northeast, and there's a local comic that you just love, or that's really well known in your area, like, North Carolina, Raleigh, get in touch with us. We'd love to talk to them. Absolutely. Yeah. We want to expand the show. We want to have people hear, stories from all around the country and even all around the world.
Right. And not just comedians, comedy writers, comic actors, anybody that's in the business of being funny, DJs, guys that have been in a certain market for 20 years doing a great funny radio show. We'll talk to them. We've had DJs on before. Anybody in the business of being funny, we want to talk to those guys because we love creative people like that. And that's what we want this to be, is to talk to funny creative people. So this was fun.
This was fun. I mean, we could call this episode an update.
Yeah, the BTF update.
Well, BTF.
The BTF update. But Ace, are you gonna update your website? Because I promise I will update mine. It's funny because now that we've sat here and talked about this for an hour, I said to myself today, I got all these dates. I got to log in and put all my dates on.
Yeah.
My website is scotthigginslive.com, and I will have all my fall dates on there by the end of this week. You got to give me a couple days because I do have a show tomorrow night and stuff like that. But my theater show, the Scott Higgins Comedy All-Stars that I've done at the Bradley, is going to be expanding this fall to a theater up in Massachusetts. I'm hoping to get it into some other theaters as well. So got some amazing lineup of comics coming up for that. So you'll see the link to that on scotthigginslive.com, as well as a show. I can't wait. September, I'm opening up for Steve Sweeney.
That's awesome.
At the grand reopening of the LOL Comedy Lounge in North Andover. Yeah. So, I mean, just a lot of great stuff.
That's awesome. So we just got asked to be on someone's podcast. Kevin Allen, love the show.
Kevin,
love to have you on. What I just said, I just put PM us at Behind the Funny page.
Yeah,
that's
definitely
the easiest way. Get us the information. We'd love to be on. Absolutely.
We love to do other people's podcasts, and if Kevin, if you're in the business of being funny, maybe we'll have you on ours.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah. We love to cross-pollinate, if you will, with other podcasts.
Yeah, well, because that helps other podcasts.
That wasn't overly sexual, was it? Cross-pollination.
No, because you didn't do this. You just did this.
I did this.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. That's all right. That was good. Now people are asking for follow backs. As soon as we figure out what the fuck a follow back is, we will.
When they follow you, you follow them back.
That's why it's called a follow back. Huh? Yeah. Remember, I'm old, so
it's not a holler back.
It's a follow back.
It's a follow back.
Yeah,
we'll no holler back, girl.
All right, please. Let's end the show before Scott breaks into dance. He's already doing it. Hey, folks, thanks so much for listening this week. We really appreciate it. Again, 5-star reviews. 5-star written reviews really, really help out the podcast. We'd be happy if you have a podcast. We'd be happy to be a guest on your podcast.
Yeah, we love doing podcasts.
And if you are in the business of being funny, we'd love to have you on ours as well. Stay tuned. We're going to be, we've got some great guests coming up. I'm finalizing the schedule, like I said, for August, September, October. Some fun stuff for October, especially. Tom Stewart got back to me, said possibly as we get closer to October, which is even better to do a paranormal investigation in September or October.
October's a tough month for me.
Yeah, well, that's why we're going to do it in September, and we'll play it in October.
Oh, even worse. Even worse.
All right. I don't know what else to say. I threw me off. I just looked at your computer and there's like a little bit of a delay.
A little bit of a lag.
I got to look up here.
You mentioned the 5-star reviews. Tell a friend. Very, very important one to help share the news of the podcast.
And if you want to write to the folks at Jefferson Bourbon and tell them that
distilleries
that you listen to a podcast and you started drinking their bourbon because of that podcast called Behind the Funny, so write them back. Please, that'd be fantastic too.
Yes, because we've reached out, we had a conversation going, and it's kind of,
I feel like we swiped right on Tinder, sent a few messages, and now they're ghosting us.
Yeah. We met up.
They haven't unmatched, but they're ghosting us.
Right. We met for a drink one night, and they said, definitely call us again. And we called, but they're not answering or contacting us back.
Well, Robin just said, Robin goes, I wrote to them months ago. She goes, I don't drink bourbon, but I told them they were getting a ton of free publicity from you too. Thank you, Robin. We appreciate that.
No, you don't have to drink to write them. Don't get me wrong.
No, yeah, exactly. You can lie.
You don't have to be a drunk. Just pretend to
Just
be a drunk.
pretend. Exactly. So,
but we appreciate it. Hey, you guys are awesome. Thanks for joining us tonight. We love hanging out with you guys and talking. Hopefully you enjoyed tonight's episode of The Hang, if you will, the update.
The update,
as they said.
I like the update, and we will work on getting our guest on that we were supposed to have on tonight, because he is a very, very funny guy and a fantastic guy with a great story. So we're gonna work on getting. He started
Jack a group called Comedians for a Cure.
Yeah.
And where he helps guys with rehab and things like that, and just an awesome story.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to have him on and tell his story. So that'd be great. But you know what would make this episode wrap up perfectly?
What?
If Peter Griffin signed off.
Okay.
Yeah. So thanks for listening to Behind the Funny, and I have been Peter Griffin,
and we will talk to you
next week.